he was putting down the Air Force. I mean, these guys, like you said, they knows not what he's doing.
All these groups are so hateful. The Army hates the Marines hate the Army. It's just all tribalism.
It's crazy, yeah. And so I just wanted to share that little story with you about 6th Street. It was really happening, and one little tiny thing was Jennifer Gale. I know you say you don't pay attention to the local news, but here's a local hero who for years has been doing his more than her share of political activity, going to all the city council meetings. I got to know her at the Travis County Commissioners Court meetings that I go to all the time now. And she, in spite of she was born a man, lived as a woman, and was actually homeless, she fought all kinds of battles for you and me, for all of us, for the good of everybody have a better life here. And she was constantly harassed, and I think she was assassinated. This was like a couple weeks ago.
Wait a minute, you mean that big guy who...
Yeah, that's that same Jennifer Gale, and she was assassinated. She's younger than I am, and she turned up dead suddenly, and I think there needs to be an investigation.
All right, we'll look into that. I appreciate your call. I don't ignore the local stuff. I've said I can't keep track of the international and national, and so I'm criticized, because people criticize anything who don't take action in life, for not being at more local stuff. But then if I go to local stuff, I get criticized, like, why is he here taking over the local stuff? You know, and so that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm doing. You got a lot of folks that have moved into town who then their business is to attack me and lie about me as a side issue, I believe, as an operation, because they know Austin's a core of resistance, and so I just ignore all of that. Folks, I'm under attack because I stand up for you. When I lose freedom, you lose freedom. When you lose freedom, I lose freedom. When bad stuff happens to you, I feel like it's happening to me, because I know we're all interconnected. Let's jam in another phone call. Let's talk to James in Mass. James, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. Welcome from the frozen north again. I called up originally to talk to Bob about the gold sales. Apparently, some places are mostly shipping outside the U.S. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe you're going to address it later on. As far as the Wanted kid goes, kid, you got guts. I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see you're doing what you're doing. I hope there's a lot more like you. If you're suffering from a congenital disease, I hope it's infectious and you pass it around.
No, I mean, exactly. Liberty is infectious. We're the winners. We are the future. We're going to win. But specifically, so I'm going to skip this break for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers because we're almost out of time. I want to take more calls. But let me answer this during the PrisonPlanet.tv behind the scenes for viewers. Specifically, what are you asking about gold, international shipments? I don't understand the question.
I'm on the Kitco site now. There, I hit that at least once a day to see what crude and everything is. They have a sell price page, and all their small denomination coins are for shipment outside the U.S. only. If you want to buy gold, you got to buy large amounts.
All right. Let me comment on that. Here we go.
You don't.
So we're congruent here. I'm going to answer his question when we come back to the full audience. Right now, we're just on the internet streams at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. I'll come back and answer that gold comment when we come back in the final full segment with the AM and FM affiliates. Michael in Idaho, you're on the air. Go ahead. Again, Michael, we're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing? I want to thank that young man for all his hard work, and I'll tell you right now, we need more of them.
Absolutely.
And I'm an armorer here in Idaho and stuff, and and I remember way back when I was in high school and how they worked back then in Kansas, and I'll tell you right now that things do stay the same. But I might want to make a suggestion for him. Start a little study group outside of the school realm.
Exactly. Start meeting at a local library, and instead of taking drugs and partying, which you're not doing, be the man you are. They teach us to become men when we're 20 instead of being men when we're like 12.
Well, I mentored a lot of young men in the service, and our youth is our future. And I'll tell you what, right now, that if we don't get a hold of our youth, we lose.
Our youth are falling apart because they don't have real missions. They don't understand their destiny and how important they are. They aren't given the proper responsibilities early enough. We're told to be a bunch of fools, and so we never mature. If somebody doesn't become a man by the time they're about 14 or 15, they probably never will. The key is becoming a man early.
And for the outside study groups, we do street actions. We have youth here that do street actions. I'm part of Minnesota Change, and if you're from Minnesota, the cities or wherever you are, go to mnchange.org, send us an email, and get involved. We have kids here that know 9/11 was an inside job. They know that the establishment is scared. They're running because we're not their good, little, compliant slaves.
That's right.
And we know that the subjects that they're teaching us are completely saturated with propaganda, and, and that we won't watch TV and just be mesmerized.
Exactly. Going back to the armorer, what did you think of the breakdown of Barack Obama? I mean, he is admittedly for gun bans. We have his votes, and then he twists it and says, "Well, I just want to be reasonable."
I'll tell you right now that within the body of all the dealers that I know and within the military, and the men I know within the military, they see his bull. And the sad thing of it is, and one of the biggest statements from the soldiers I know, especially from the Special Forces, is that they would never fire upon their own people, and they support the Second Amendment. And Barack Obama is illegitimate in their eyes.
Well, that's why they're trying to recruit foreigners, and the biggest recruiting stations are in Manila and in Eastern Europe and in Mexico City.
Do you think that that's going to get their game? Because here's the deal.
Here, let's go back to the full audience. Let's go back to the full audience. Here we go. All right, we're talking to Michael in Idaho. I'm going to have to go into overdrive here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have to continue the transmission. Let's just do 5 minutes into the next hour. All right, is that cool? Because I got to go to a meeting in a minute. Michael in Idaho is an armorer, and I've got some family. One of them's an armorer. But talking to folks, and he's saying the Special Forces are saying they know it's New World Order, they know it's illegitimate, they're not going after the American people. And I mentioned that's why the biggest Army recruiting centers are in Mexico City, Manila, Philippines, and in Eastern Europe, places like Ukraine. I mean, they really are bringing in foreign troops, but in the military itself. And I saw a mainstream news article today I never got to. This is out of the Army Times, 2008 Army Times poll, wary about Obama. And it says the troops don't like Obama and don't trust him. So that just seconds what you were just saying. Go ahead and finish up.
There is one thing I would like to mention. When Ron Paul was running and when they had the massive donations and stuff, around this time last year, they cut off their communications so they could not use their credit cards. And they were ticked. They were putting Ron Paul all over their tanks and everything else in disrespect to their superiors.
Good.
And that was going on all over the place.
Because their superiors... Their superiors are bought and paid for by the New World Order. This is not our government. These are illegitimate foreign corporate raiders that have seized control of the executive. Are the Special Forces, I know a lot of them are, I'm asking you, aware that martial law has been declared over Congress and the War Powers Act has been implemented?
Yes, they are. And one of the things that they have to keep their mouths kind of quiet, and it's internal infiltration. They're telling them what they want to hear. They know a storm's coming. And I can tell you right now that they're not going to get their game. Let one foreign troop or any act of aggression to the citizen body of the United States, and there's going to be gear taken. I can tell you.
Well, that's why they're going to fully implode the economy, where the rioting and starving gets so bad that then, I'll be at home with rioters wishing the Army was there. Then the Army comes in, does a good job, and sets the precedent that Army can be on the streets. Then the real tyranny begins. Do they understand that?
Well, they do understand that, but, they also understand this game. Look, I'm a vet of the Cold War. I was out in South America, and I watched this same game go on, okay? And a lot of these other guys that are older salts know what's going on. And they're not going to get to that point, I don't think. They're going to do something stupid, okay? And it's just a waiting game, as I see it. The only thing that I hear is that a lot of the guys feel really cracking beers open, and we're sitting around talking. They feel a little, I don't know how to say, they feel a little disappointed in the American people, thinking that they would ever do those kind of things to the citizen bodies. They're there. Well,
because the police are different. The police have been trained and in amongst us so long.
Wait a minute on that. I know a lot of police officers. Now, you've got a lot of police officers playing the same game. Now, every area is different. If I was in Atlanta, Georgia, they're done. But areas like here in Idaho and other places in Arizona and even in your area, there's good cops, and they're watching and waiting.
I know that, but the leadership's evil. I appreciate your call.
Yeah.
Robert Wanek, will you do T-minus 8 minutes. We'll go 8 minutes into the next hour, and that's it. That way we can join the rebroadcast. We covered a lot of key info today. Robert, you'll do that with us?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go 8 minutes into the next hour. James and Mason and people hung up. Give me the number. Give me the toll-free number for folks to call in on our phone system so James and Mason and Melody and Bob and Les can get in. Okay, we're going to give you this number real fast here right at the end so you can call in. Rebroadcast will start after we're done with the overdrive. We're still going to be live when this ends, only at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. I'll be back live on Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Please support us financially by buying the books and videos at Infowars.com. Plus, they're waking people up. And I'll give you the phone number to call as the transmission ends. Stay with us.